live on Facebook. They've changed it. Hey everyone! Oh wow, already got 70 people and climbing. Hey everyone! Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to get officially cracking in a few minutes, but in the meantime, you can enjoy looking at these black storks in the Khula Valley with the Dove. Always happy to hear where you guys where you are tuning in from, and whether this is, and let us know whether this is your first session with us, or whether you're a newcomer or you're back again. And we'll get started officially in 2 minutes. We have with us today Alain in Jerusalem, who's going to be answering everyone's questions in the chat and the Q&A box. Amir, the one and only Amir Balaban, who's also in Jerusalem, who is hosting. We have Nadav in the Khula Valley, as you can see now, and Noam with a blurred microphone in Eilat. Hi Miriam in London. Hi Joy in Hyde Park, Chicago. Hi Phyllis in Portland, Oregon. Wow. Hi Michael in Greene County, New York. Colleen in Israel. Oh, we've got some Israelis. That's very good to hit. That's nice to see. Dan in Los Angeles. Well done, Dan, for waking up so early. Hi Linda in Toronto. Hi Marcel. Lots. Oh, it's a cool man. Hi Gita. Hi Brian in Ontario. Hi Judy in Tel Aviv. If you join us for the first time, welcome. It's gonna be awesome. Hi Scott in Florida. Devorah in Washington. Helen in Massachusetts is making Aliyah, so come and say hello. Hi, I want to say Marcia in Berlin. Oh. Hi Eileen in upstate New York. Hi Margie in San Francisco. Hi Janice in Renana. Hi Ira in Baltimore. Wow, it's going really, really quickly. Right, it's 5 o'clock in Israel time, and I know you guys don't want to hear me just say people's names. You actually want to hear about birds. So we'll start with no further ado. Hi everyone, welcome to the latest webinar from the Society for the Protection of Nature in Israel. My name is Lawrence Casimir. I'm part of the philanthropy team here at SBNI. I'm delighted to be joined by my colleagues here at Birdlife Israel, one of our units in the organization. We've been protecting Israel's nature for 68 years now. So looking forward to celebrating our 7th decade in a couple of years' time. We are Israel's largest environmental not-for-profit organization. Means we're independent of the government. We are the voice of the public, trying to represent the public in the battles to protect our scarce open spaces. At the moment, one of our big campaigns is to protect Eilat's coral reefs from an oil pipeline and an oil transfer terminal. Just this week, in the recent months, we've celebrated a massive success in the banning of the hunting of turtle doves and common quail, which we're delighted about, and hopefully we can make that ban permanent in the next 2 years, the length of ban. And anyway, with that news, I'm just going to mute Alain. And I'm just going to say, I'm going to throw it over to Nadav, who is in the Khula Valley, and who with these beautiful black storks.
Thank you, Lawrence. Hi, everybody. This is Nadav from the Khula Valley. I'm going to show you my face for a moment. Hi. And now back to the beautiful black storks. I'm at the moment in the north part of the Khula Valley. Maybe later I'll show you the surroundings. I mean, Mount Hermon is just at the north east side of me. The Golan Heights are on the east side. You know what, let's do it now. So this is where I am, Mount Hermon in the northeast side of the valley. Golan Heights on the east side. It's a beautiful afternoon now, a little bit of clouds. and the weather is just fine. And to the north of me, not far away, is the country of Lebanon. There's mountains at the background you can see. And on the east side, the country of Syria, not far from here. And I'm going to take you in with me through this nice Zeiss scope to see what I'm seeing through this scope. And these are the beautiful black stork that are just stopping here on their migration from Eastern Europe down to East Africa. Some of them stay here for the winter as well, but most of them will continue to migrate through. And Israel is located just at the connection point between the three continents, Europe, Asia, and Africa, and on the just at the verge of the desert, at the edge of the desert. So birds migrating from Europe and Asia, when they leave Israel, they're facing a very, very long desert. Including the southern parts of Israel, the Negev Desert and the Arava, and then in Sinai, and then in Africa, they have to cross the Sahara to get to the green and lush areas of Africa. And so this is a very important stopover site for them. So, and we have to really, really take good care of it in order for the birds to have the energy, the enough food to find here they need in order to continue their migration. And this area used to be, the Hula Valley used to be a fantastic natural habitat with a swamp and a lake in the middle of it. Now I'm going to stop for a minute and show you it's not a native animal in Israel. This is a nutria that was imported to Israel. Some might recognize it from the movie The Princess Bride, but it's actually nutria. It was imported to Israel in the 60s of the 20th century for the fur industry, to start a fur industry in Israel. Fur industry didn't really pick up, and the nutrias were released to nature. And since then, they're all over Israel, all over wetlands and natural and artificial wetlands in Israel, doing huge damages to water infrastructure and to water plants. So now back to this beautiful black stork. This is a young black stork, which means it hatched this year. It's a 2021 model, hatched this year somewhere in East Africa, somewhere in Eastern Europe. And now it's on its way doing its first migration to East Africa, facing all the perils and the obstacles on the way. So we feel like it's our obligation to take care of the habitats on the way. So this young stork, this young black stork, together with its parents and the entire population, will be able to complete the journey and make it safely to East Africa, spend the winter there, and then the next spring migrate back to their breeding grounds in Eastern Europe and Western Asia, and start the breeding cycle all over again.
Amazing. Thank you, Nadav. I'm going to throw to Amir, the official host of this webinar. Amir, you want to unmute yourself and say hello to everyone? And
thanks, Lawrence. Thanks, Nadav. Hi, I'll make it short and sweet because Nadav has lots of birds, and we don't want to miss out on the variety of the variety that he has. So basically, guys, we are in the middle of the fall migration, meaning we're midway between August and November. Many of the big birds, such as raptors, have passed through Israel. Some are moving right now, like the pelicans and the eagles, that hopefully we might see some with Jonathan later on. And the beautiful example we have in Hula Valley just amplifies how important Israel is for these migratory birds. Israel is a very important staging post for over 500 million migratory birds, waterfowl, songbirds, raptors. Before we carry on, I would like to thank Zvika Ido that thanks to his support, we are having these Zoom sessions, these live Zoom sessions, and we can share with you the beauty of our fall evenings. And one of the amazing features you can see right now is how all the birds are pointing windward. You can see the waves and you can see that they're all facing the wind. And this is something very typical to birds, especially when they're resting and also feeding. It helps them preserve energy, because if they're not facing the wind, they have to use their muscles to balance. So here you have a beautiful gray heron doing the same thing. I want to go back to Nadav, because I think at the moment he has the largest variety of birds using the fish ponds and the wetlands of Hula Valley. So Nadav, back to you.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Well, Nadav, you're muted, but there are a lot of birds I can see.
Sorry, I'm just talking about this 400 or 500 glossy ibises that just took off now, probably towards their roosting trees. Not sure exactly where they're going to be tonight, but probably around here in the area. These are glossy ibises. They breed in Israel, but also they have a migrating population, and skies are just full of birds at the moment. Mainly glossy ibises, but together with them some gulls as well, mainly Armenian gulls and some little egrets and so on. I'm going to go back into the scope with you and back into this wonderful gray heron. It's similar to the American great blue heron. We call it a twin species. And this wonderful looking bird is now facing the wind, as Amir said. But in the same way, they also fish. They can stand in the water for long periods of time, just waiting for a fish to be in the right place without noticing them. And then you see how it crunches down. And then in a faster sliding movement, it will strike down and catch a fish. They feed mainly on fish, sometimes frogs and toads as well, but fish mainly. And this is also a migrating bird. They breed around the Black Sea area and in a large area in Europe. They don't breed in Israel. So this is a winter visitor and migrating bird through Israel. Now,
Nadav, can I share some insight?
Of course.
A lot of people usually ask me, how come these birds spend so much time in the water and they're not cold? So apparently they do get cold, and they have two ways to manage this temperature loss. The first one is they have blood vessels, veins and arteries that are fixed one by the other. So there's a lot of heat transmission from the arteries into the veins. The second option is standing with one foot in the water and the other foot inside the feathers. And this is something very typical to storks. So a lot of people ask, why do storks stand on one foot? The answer is they can, but the reason is that their feet are cold.
Okay, thank you guys. I want to throw to all the way down to Alat. Noam has been waiting patiently with some birds which are not the right colour, I believe.
Yes, thank you and welcome to Alat Bird Sanctuary. And our common bird at the moment is the greater flamingo. You can see them sleepy because very soon they're going to wake up to their nocturnal feeding frenzy. And there are quite a few of them. Here is one which is now feeding, and behind him a slender-billed gull. These flamingos are arriving from Turkey and Iran, where they breed in salt water, and they are on their way to Eastern Africa at the moment. They're here just to stop over, but some of them really like the site, so they are staying with us for a long term. It's a pretty special bird that eats mainly shrimps and other invertebrates in the water. They filter them with their huge bill, and sometimes they make their dance, which is moving their feet really fast. So all the mud on the bottom is going up to the surface, and with it bringing lots of food that this beautiful bird, can filter. So it's a real privilege to have them down here. And the slender-billed gull joins the flamingo. It's not a coincidence because the flamingo is taking the food up towards the surface of the water with its long legs, while this gull can only swim. So they prefer to feed next to flamingos because they can get the food that flamingos actually provide for them. And they are pretty much dependent on the flamingos here for their food. You can see we have a pretty big flock at the moment. And the good news is that many of these birds that you see right now are gray. Well, flamingos like to be pink, and they are pink, but the gray ones are the new generation. These are first-year birds, which means they were born just a few months ago. And this means that this species is continuing to multiply and to reproduce where they come from. We had some disturbing news, mainly from Iran, about lakes that are drained and habitats destroyed. But it seems like at least in Turkey, they are still doing pretty well. And we are now at the salt ponds of the bird sanctuary. It's about 40% of the size of the bird sanctuary. It's a very important habitat for all kinds of shorebirds and flamingos and gulls. And I will try to show you another guy which is doing something very, very typical at the moment. I'll try to find it. Just a second. And what the birds are doing right now in our afternoon, is sleep. This is the time to sleep. And I will try to explain why, because their very, very long migration is due to this night. They're going to have perfect conditions to migrate, so they just have to rest right now before they go on their night journey. I can't find it with the telescope. I'm sorry, it's a bit tough, but there are some sleepy birds around us here. Oh, here he is. So this is a ringed plover, pretty nice ringed plover here. He has been eating all day long. There's plenty of food here. And now it's time to just get some energy. And when it gets dark, and that's coming in about 1 hour from now, it's gonna fly non-stop, probably to the other side of the Sahara Desert. That could be 1 to 2 days of flight non-stop, and they fly real fast, 90 kilometers per hour, 100 kilometers per hour. They're extremely capable, so they are just really amazing creatures. And these salt ponds in the bird sanctuary are a very important stopover site that enables them to cross this desert. It was not always the case. The place here was first a very good salt marsh with some water that was perfect habitat for these. Then it was destroyed, became a rabbit dam, and this rehabilitation program that we do here for the sake of these birds is now picking up, and the number of birds is higher every year, the birds who use this place. So with this beautiful ringed plover from Elat, preparing himself for a very, very, very long flight that will start in probably an hour or two. I'm sending my love and greetings, and and I pass back to Amir.
Amir,
Okay,
Amir, why don't you show
guys.
us about a bird with its fat content?
Right. So migration time is very exciting for us in the Middle East and specifically in Israel. Ellen, in the Nili and David Bird Observatory, we monitor bird movement using bird banding or bird ringing, depending where you're from. And the technique is a very simple technique developed a few hundred years ago. And we are using these small metal rings in order to mark the birds. And these markings enable us to follow follow the birds in our sites, and also there's a good chance someone will monitor these birds abroad. So we get a very good local picture and also a very good international picture, cross-continental picture. So one of the challenges here that we have in the JBO, that most of our birds, contrary to Eilat and Hula, that our birds are songbirds. They're small birds, they're passerines, what we call little brown jobs, okay? So in order to monitor these birds, we have to use these very small rings. And here we have a red-backed shrike, which is one of the common migrants that passes through Israel right now. This bird usually nests in high altitude habitats in the Caucasus Mountains, in the alpine habitats of Eastern and Western Europe. And it will spend most of its time in subtropical Africa, eating locusts and insects and small reptiles. So this bird basically takes advantage of the changes of the season and the fact that every spring, huge areas, landmass, warm up and supply great opportunities for food and for nesting. And while these areas are completely frozen, they can fly down south to the sub-Saharan habitats. And you can see with this bird that it has a very unique bird. It's a falcon-like beak, very sharp at the tip. And this tip enables it to prey on little insects and small reptiles. It has also beautiful colors. Oh, look at that. Beautiful red back, like its name, and a beautiful black and white tail, which is used as a kind of a rudder that helps this bird steer as it dives down on little passerines. The other thing I would like to show you is the very long and pointed wings that enable this bird to fly so far and so efficiently. One of the things that we check with each bird that is monitored here in our Bitan Ariel, the Ariel ringing station, is the fat content of each bird. The fat is used by these migrants to fly across the eastern part of the Mediterranean Sea or the eastern part of the Sahara. This means this bird has to fly a 3-day flight, a constant 3-day flight, using the energy it gathered in one of the refueling stations before the Mediterranean, or in Israel before it crosses the desert. The way I can see the amount of fat this bird accumulated is by blowing at the chest feathers. This bird actually has a half tank full, meaning it's feeding here, it will feed it for a few more days, and then it will continue on its journey. And this is a nocturnal flight, meaning it will fly at night. And when it's crossing the desert, it can be a night, day, another night, and another day, and then it will probably reach southern part of Sudan or northern Ethiopia. So this beautiful shrike will be released immediately into our habitats. The habitats are managed and maintained by our staff. Our staff includes a lot of volunteers that help us in our scientific and land management projects. And this is a bird flying to Africa. Good luck. There it goes. And you can see through this window the beautiful habitats we have here. They're not your typical urban park because we understand that migrants need these unique habitats that are not artificial. Migratory birds do not like lawns, and they do not like roses. They like our native plants. So
Amir,
all of the
Amir,
habitats.
save that bird. Amir, save that bird. We're going to throw it to Nadav, who has. I'm trying to work out what Nadav has in his background. What is actually he's seeing? Nadav, over to you.
Hi, thank you, Lawrence. I was just following an osprey. It's a bird of prey that was trying to catch fish in the water. Ospreys are specialists in fishing for water from the air, and I was trying to follow it, but it just flew away. So I'm back with this wonderful.
In which case, we're going to throw it to Noam, who looks like he's got a really good bird, and we'll come back to you and your standing stalks.
Right.
Noam, go.
Thank you, Lawrence. And what you're seeing on your screen right now is the spotted flycatcher. It's another migrant, this time really small one, only weighs 12 grams. It's a tiny bird that feeds on flies. So you really want to have it in your garden. And I have some because in Eilat they are pretty plentiful at the moment. So this migrant is a nocturnal migrant. They fly a few hundreds or tens or hundreds of kilometers per night. And they look for stopover sites with lots of insects, and the bird sanctuary is one of them. It's such a site. It is sitting still, and if it will see a fly, it will just fly towards it with its very, very long wings. The wings are now closed, but you can see how long they are. And this is, they have such long wings so they can actually catch the flies even and maneuver on the way to catch it. So it seems like this bird is pretty tired. It's pretty windy here, so it's not so easy to catch flies. The flies are not so active. And just like the ring plover, this bird is waiting for the night to move on. And in front of it is the Sahara Desert. It's 3,000 kilometers of desert, and this bird comes from forests. So it's gonna fly about 3 days, maybe 3 nights, maybe a bit more, to the other side of the Sahara into southern Sudan or Ethiopia without any food. This is why Eilat is so important. This is its last stopover site, its last, let's call it a fueling station, where it can still get some food before the real big challenge of crossing the hostile habitat of desert. So this is a beautiful one. It's sitting still really nicely.
I know, it's great. Makes a change.
Yeah. Thank you, Lawrence.
Good. You've got them well trained. We're going to throw now to Jonathan, who is at an undisclosed location in the center of Israel, because he actually finally has some birds and it's in focus. So, oh, wow, you got a good one.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, thank you.
So, hi, everyone. I am in the Judean plains, and it's a bit distant, but I have a it just jumped down. The European roller, one of our more colorful migrants. Oh, here he comes back. The nice, juicy grasshopper. It's a bit shaky since it's far, but I'm going to try and zoom in a bit more. I'm standing and I've got a plane, a light plane going over. 1 second. All right, we're back. And for those who asked, I am in the Judean plains, not far from Latrun, central Israel, about 20 kilometers west of Jerusalem. And this is a European roller. I am, just took off again. It's feeding actively. I'm at the edge of an irrigated field. You can see there's many
Ooh.
egrets here enjoying.
Jonathan, your internet just cut out. What are they again?
These are cattle egrets.
Oh, you know nothing, Jon Snow.
And there's just loads of them here along this irrigation line. And once this roller will come back, hopefully a bit closer, and of course, the ever-present common mynas, even in these agricultural areas, a very, very successful invasive species that has become an important part of our avifauna here in Israel. So I'm going to look for a few more, objects here, and I'll send it back to you guys for the moment.
Awesome. Okay, Amir, back to you. Yes, Amir, it's to you. Your turn.
Okay, so as you've seen, migration is very active right now, and our challenges are very big. First of all, you've seen that Nadav is located in the farming community up north. Noam is in the urban surroundings and the desert habitats of southern Israel. And here in the JBO, we're in the center of Jerusalem. Although it might look very natural and very serene, but we're just by the parliament. We're about a 15-minute walk from the center of town. So when SPNI deals with nature conservation in Israel, we have to work with the different communities. One of the communities we are targeting or focusing right now is communities that are not usually very active in nature conservation. And I'm talking here about religious and ultra-religious communities. So one of the ways we're dealing with that is, first of all, we're working, some of our staff are ultra-Orthodox. So this is something which is very new to SPNI, and we understand that if we want to conserve nature, we have to work with all the communities. And I'll just give you a short peek. We have a Haredi photographer in our bird hide, photographing birds in the Neiman Pond, which emphasizes that nature is a cross-boundary common denominator. And if we don't work with everybody and we think we can focus on one group and the other group does not conserve nature, we're going to lose. So this, one of our big challenges in SPNI and also in the JBO is to work with as many groups in the community and make nature accessible by developing hides, nature trails, nature parks, etc. One of the last birds that we have here for you today, because we're just closing up, our team is just closing the nets. Today we have Avneri Not, one of our promising young conservationists in our young volunteers. We have here a female blackcap, and this is a female blackcap. You can identify the female by its brown cap. The male has a black cap, and it's a very funny bird, because when we have groups of Haredi kids, they laugh and they say, "Wow, this is an ultra-Orthodox bird." And when we tell them that this is the commonest migrant in Jerusalem, they're really chuffed, because they said, of course, it's not a coincidence that Jerusalem's most common bird is a blackcap. So yes, I saw someone commenting that this bird has big eyes, and that's very true. When we look at birds and their features, we learn a lot about their biology. One of the features of insectivorous birds is that they have very big and very good eyesight, because they need to find these small insects that they thrive on. And you can see this very sharp and tweezer-like bill that enables them to catch the little insects. So the amount of insects a bird like this needs, especially in migration, is huge. One of the ways to get more energy in their diet is by changing the diet from insects that are used during the breeding season to sugar. And this is done by shifting the diet from insects to fruit, small fruit. And apparently the Mediterranean habitat is adapted in such a way that most of our shrubs and trees are fruiting during fall, during autumn. And these little fruit are very tempting for these birds. So the birds feed on them. And while feeding on them, also dispersing the seeds just before winter comes and these seeds germinate. So we see this connection between a bird and a plant, and we understand that in order to have our ecosystem, in order to have a healthy ecosystem, we must preserve the native plants and also the birds that are the dispersal mechanism. These are two organisms that are very different from one another, but are very connected and very important to us people. So this female black cap, let's see what's her condition. Also half tank full, which is very good. That means we're doing a good job. And I'm going to release her back into the wild. Most of our black caps overwinter in tropical Africa, in the lush forests of Central Africa. So remember, in order to preserve the black cap, we have to preserve the lush forests in Africa, the temperate forests of Southern Europe, and the migrational stopover sites along the way, along the Rift Valley. So basically, we are working locally, but our impact is international. We had some people asking if they can volunteer and assist SPNI. I'm going to release this black cap, send it away. Most of our black caps, by the way, are from Romania, Hungary, Southern and Eastern Europe. We were asked how people can assist. First of all, if you're not here in Israel and you can't volunteer on our grounds, you can always plan on a visit to Israel and join our special activities. We're hoping that Israel will open up soon. So in spring, we're going to have a lot of activities such as Champions of the Flyway and the Eilat Bird Festival, and maybe Jonathan Merave will tell you a little bit more. And of course, in all our publications, you'll see information. So taking part in our activity supports us. This is something very, very important. If you have other ways that you would like to take part, you can discuss this directly with Lawrence. We'll be very happy if you would like to support specific activities that you believe in and you think that you can contribute to our cause. And one of the other things that I would like to mention, wherever you are, in Berlin, in the East Coast of the United States, in Canada or Australia, I don't know if it's if anybody's awake, look for your local conservation group and take active part in your local conservation group. This is something very important. Audubon Society, the Wildlife Trust, there's so many groups working and we are all connected, not directly, but sometimes they can be members of BirdLife like we are. Take part in your local action. This is very, very, very important. So,
thank you, Amir.
what's the situation with the?
They all have birds. They all have
So
birds. So I'm going to throw to Noam, whose bird's been pacing for about 7 minutes. So I'm sure it's about to fly off.
Yes, thank you, Lawrence. And what you're seeing here is the Namakua Dove talking about Africa. This bird's origin is from Africa. It's a tiny dove, the size of a sparrow, with a very, very long tail that arrived to Eilat about 20 years ago and settled. And this is a young bird born in Eilat. And it's amazing to see these newcomers made Aliyah from Southern Africa, from Namakwa land, and made it here. And they feel real well. They eat our seeds and they're having fun. It's interesting to see that the young birds, this is a very young bird, they have these speckles on them and they look extremely camouflaged. I could hardly find this one in my telescope and show it to you. But when they get adult, when they have more confident and more experience, they have a black face and bib, red legs, beautiful bill, which is white and red, and they change, their colors completely change. But this one's still hiding away.
I will just add on that for those who got the calendar, this is the bird on the front of this year's calendar.
All right, yeah. So this is the Namakua Dove. It's one of Eilat's gems, one of many that you can see. The bird sanctuary has a list of almost 350 species, and it's really, the diversity here is just amazing.
Okay. Thank you. We're going to go to Jonathan now, who also has a bird who flew off and has come back a couple of times. Jonathan, go.
Thank you. I have a Eurasian Kestrel, or common kestrel. This is a youngster, a bird, a hatchier bird. He's also taken advantage of the cutting of the alfalfa crop. These fields, the farmers here raise alfalfa, which is then chopped down for cattle feed, basically. And once the fields are chopped down, they become a smorgasbord for feeding birds. And this is a local bird, but there's also a red-footed falcon, a rare-ish passage migrant from Eastern Europe and Asia. He's also around, and he was just kicked away by this local. He's still around. I might be able to get him in the frame. That would be something else. But in the meantime, you can see this beautiful Eurasian kestrel, or a common kestrel.
Okay, we'll go to Nadav, who's also got a bird who's trying to eat something from the mud. Go, Nadav.
Hi, I'm at the moment with a snipe, common snipe. This is one of the, it's a member of the waders family. The birds that are, usually they occupy the muddy parts of wetlands or the shores of seas and oceans. And they're very strong flyers. They can migrate thousands of kilometers. Some of them are crossing the Pacific Ocean from East Asia all the way to New Zealand and Australia, and a very similar species to the common snipe, the great snipe. They're migrating from North Europe all the way to the west parts of Africa non-stop, days and nights through. And this common snipe, you can see now it's feeding, but you can see when it's lifting its head, you can see the very long, very long bill of this bird. Now it's moving a little bit.
Okay, Nadav, we're going to go to Noam, who's got another bird, a very windy bird.
Bye-bye.
That's the Arabian green bee-eater. Also has a long wing, and I'm getting seasick just watching it.
Okay, we're gonna go because this is seasick. This is horrible. This is not nice. Sorry, because Jonathan's got another bird who just wandered off. Jonathan, you're gonna catch him back. There you go. Jonathan, go.
I have a northern lapwing. Actually, my first one of this winter. I don't know how well you can see it. It's a very.
You're a little bit out of focus. Little teeny. It's not bad. A little bit out of focus, but we're good. It's okay. Definitely can see him.
It's a bit distant. Hence, and we're losing light here. It's a pretty funky looking bird with a crest. Also a wader, shore bird, but you can see there's no shore nearby. It's actually in the field. And again, this is a youngster as well, a hatchier bird. And this is his first trip down from the breeding grounds in Europe. They migrate down, and many remain here in Israel for the winter. Oh, it's just chewed away by a pallid harrier.
Whoa!
That would be a bit more difficult.
Come on, Jonathan. Go get the pallid harrier.
A bit more challenging as it's flying, but you know what? I'll pass it on, and if I find something cool,
I think we go. Noam, Nadav, Nadav, they're both looking for birds, so we'll go out.
I have Lawrence. I have a very cute bird that we owe a lot to this bird, because thanks to this little brown job, we established the JBO 27 years ago. We caught a little bird in our net carrying a Swedish ring, and on that lovely morning, spring morning, we decided to preserve this site for future migrants and future generations. So this little bird is called a lesser white throat. And it truly is an amazing bird. It weighs only 10 grams, which is not much more than this little bag of ketchup. And it will do an amazing 7,000 kilometer trip from Europe to Africa. Some of our lesser white-throats carry rings from the UK. We've got quite a few birds from the UK, from Sweden, from Germany. And this little bird is truly a migratory champion. And it also feeds on the local trees here and local fruit. One of the things I'll do, I will take you on a very short walk into our grounds and show you how beautiful our site is. And one of the reasons these birds come and visit us in the JBO are the fruit of the wild pistachio tree. And this is what this bird comes to feed on. Okay, so this, look at the amount of fruit and look at the amount of fruit that has been eaten. So I'm going to release this bird. And you can see the Neiman pond just behind me. And I don't know if Daniel Neiman is on this broadcast, but it's an amazing habitat, attracting so many birds and insects. And you can see many of our wetland plants are flowering. This is the wild mint, which is flowering right now with its beautiful scent. And in the background, you can see the skyline of central Jerusalem. This is the city center. So this is what urban nature is about. And one of the things we're trying to do in SPNI is develop these centers all over the country in areas which are really wild, such as sites in the Negev, or places where there's a lot of agriculture. So Lawrence, let's move on to one of our people somewhere. Do you have any birds?
Yeah, Noam has I want to say a Longbuild Duck.
No, it's just a stilt, the black-winged stilt, searching for food. It's fortunate to have these long legs, so it can go into the deeper water and have not much competition. It's going against the wind, just collecting food from the bottom or the surface. And the long-winged stilts used to be, we used to have about 100 of them all summer. They're breeding right here at the bird sanctuary. And many of them moved on to Africa. And we are left with just a very, very few of them. If you've been with us last months, we've seen so many of them. Now this is one of maybe 2 or 3 that are still remaining here. You can see it having very, very long and sharp bill to collect food from the surface. It's a beautiful bird, black and white with very long red legs, just walking around here. Just enjoy it. Just enjoy the sight of this beautiful one. And I must show you also where we are. Just have a look at the view of the bird sanctuary. Just amazing. The mountains you see are the Edo Mountains. They are 1,700 meters high above sea level. And this is the bird sanctuary. This is Khalil, my colleague. He just won the Champions of the Flyway. He's our winner. It's a competition that took place just last week. And he got most species seen in 24 hours. We are very proud to have him here. So
and he's originally from Jerusalem, Noam. Don't forget to say that.
Yes, of course. He was raised in Jerusalem, and now he's here in Eilat, and we are not giving it back. That's it. It's gone.
No, has anyone got any more birds? Because I know we're losing the light, so I don't know how we're doing with birds. If not, we'll spend a few minutes answering questions. So one thing. So thank you everyone for joining us today. We have nearly 300 people. We'll keep going for a few more minutes if we get a few more birds in our scopes. But if you'd like to support, if you've enjoyed this and would like to support our work, we'd be very, very grateful for any donation. That's we are a charity and we do rely on donations to continue our work and continue to do amazing things such as protect these birds. And if you'd like to do that, you can join. You can visit our website, which is www.natureisrael.org, and you can see a donate button in the top right-hand corner. But I am going to throw to Jonathan now, who has a bird. Jonathan.
Yes, I have a lesser gray shrike, one of the less common passage migrants, a bird that nests in, Western Asia. And you can see it also sitting on the same irrigation pipe that I used before. Shrikes are very cool. They're passerine or songbirds, if you may, but they're actually hunters. In North America, they're affectionately called butcher birds. They are a songbird, but they have a very strong hooked bill. Oop, and he just went down to catch some prey. Hopefully he'll fly right back to where it was. Yeah, just slid a bit to the left. Let me get it back in the frame.
There he is. You missed him. I think you missed him, Jonathan. I know,
No.
one of those bolt things.
No, that wasn't him.
It was a piece of metal, so there you go. That's how good I am at spotting birds.
You can see he's actually got prey in his mouth, a beetle. He's holding it with his legs and tearing it apart. Whoop, and then down the hatch. That's it. Very hungry. These songbirds migrate by night. So they need to take advantage of the daytime hours in order to rest, but also in order to feed, to fill up the fuel tank. And this guy is still actively feeding, usually from perch, sitting at a high point, flying down, catching prey, and then flying back up in order to take it apart and eat it. So this is a lesser gray shrike.
Amazing. Amir, you got anything else? You got anything else in the bag? Nadav?
No, Jerusalem is the JBO is closing down at the moment. You can see Avner that has been working here from before sunrise is closing the Ariel ringing station, and we'll be opening tomorrow morning again.
That's all right. Well, soon the porcupines will come out, so we can just stay for that, even though the cameras won't work in the dark. Noam, I see, has moved to his super new hide. Nadav, I can't see anything. So I will say that thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. It's getting dark. As you can see, it's getting dark here. Nadav's just turned on his camera, so we'll go to Nadav's sunset in northern Israel. Nadav, wave it to you.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I'm losing light in here, and it's hard to get the birds.
Nadav, which way are you looking? Are you looking towards Syria? Are you looking across?
No, I'm looking now towards Israel. I'm looking west, towards the mountains of the Galilee.
Okay, lovely. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you very much, Nadav. Noam has a white bird. It's Egret.
Lawrence, you should know by now.
Noam.
You should know by now it's the little egret.
I knew that. I knew that.
I knew that you knew that. You are already a pretty good bird watcher. So little egret here is fishing at the Anita's Lake. We moved to another kind of water. These are the fresh water. And I like to say that she's like the bride that goes with her dress to fish. It never gets dirty. I never saw them dirty. They are spotless. So this is and if we are lucky, it will show us some activity. It's after a fish. You can see the movement, and faster and faster, faster. Fish here are really fast because the egrets are fast too. So it's trying.
No, just before you, can I just interrupt for 1 second? I'm just going to say we're going to be doing this again in about a month, and so just keep looking at your emails. We'll let you know when we're going to do this again. Sorry, no, I'm keep going with your egret.
Yeah, so our egret is now showing us some action activity looking for fish. It's really the last moment where you can catch some fish before night falls. Wonder if it stays tomorrow or go migrating south. Can't tell. And the lake here is filling up with birds, and you can see that.
We'll come back. No, we'll come back to you. I want to go to Jonathan with his egrets. Jonathan.
Well, again, slightly less exciting. Cattle egret, and they're actually taking a shower. They're feeding within the stream of water from the irrigation pipe. They're just freshening up while feeding. While you can see the sprinkler active, and on top of the irrigation are the ones that have already showered and are just now chilling and using the last rays of sun to dry up.
Okay, hold on. No, Jonathan, I'm going to go back to Noam, who's got a pied kingfisher, I want to say.
Oh, very good. Very good, Lawrence. It is a pied
Yes.
kingfisher, and it's looking for fish, obviously. Everybody's looking for fish at Anita's Lake, and it's sitting on a reed, just having a look. And usually it's hovering like a helicopter above the water, but this one is just up there, a bit tired from the long day, and looking for the fish to come, next fish to be eaten. If you look a bit lower, can you see this small guy there? So
Oh, it's another kingfisher.
It's another kingfisher, only this is the common kingfisher. So it's much smaller, also in same business, fishing business. And they are sharing almost the same spot, looking at the same fish, but they are not in competition because this guy is eating just a small fish, while it's a bigger one. The pied, he loves the bigger fish. So it feels here like the end of the day, and you can hear the birds preparing for the night, not of going to sleep, but the night of migration, night of moving on, night of optimism. Oh, it's down to catch a fish, but you can't see it because the telescope doesn't move so fast. But why is it a night of optimism? Because these birds go to the unknown. Many of the birds we see here are young birds. It's their first migration. They never crossed the desert, never been to Africa, but they still do it, and it's amazing. So back to you, Lawrence. Thank you.
We'll go back to Jonathan on with his egrets, I think.
Yeah,
Jonathan,
nothing new.
Nothing exciting.
Nothing new here. I mean,
Fair enough.
Preparing for the night.
Okay. Okay, so we'll say to so I don't know, Amir and Alen, if you want to answer some questions, and then we'll give Noam, I guess, one last chance to find the last bird of the day. Amir and Alen, you've been looking through the questions. Got any? I see some questions in the chat. I can ask you some and see how much you know. How much do you? Yeah, I'll ask you the questions. It's fine. It's also easier for the feedback. How long do birds live for? About?
The larger the bird, the longer they live. The songbirds, the passerines, usually...
you guys are echoing.
Yes, Ellen,
you're okay now. I've muted Alen. You're on.
Small birds, usually the songbirds and passerines, average between 6 months to a year, which is not a lot. Most of them perish during the first migration. This is why a lot of songbirds and small birds usually breed more than one cycle and produce usually 4, 5, sometimes 6 eggs each brood. So a lot of them perish, and sometimes it's so dramatic when you walk along the Mediterranean coast during this period. You can see a line of small feathers lining the shore. And these are all birds that simply didn't make it, and they fell and they became fish food. And this is a feature that is very unique. You know, one of the miracles that were mentioned in the Bible is the miracle of the quail. And as we speak, birds are flying or setting as the sun sets from Turkey and Southern Europe and crossing the eastern part of the Mediterranean, falling exhausted in the shores of Israel and northern Sinai. And many of these birds are harvested by hunters for thousands of years. So these medium-sized birds, such as quail, can live theoretically 4, 5, 6, 7 years, but because they are hunted so intensively, few of them reach the age of a year or two. And saying this, people have a very severe effect on bird populations in Europe and the Middle East. Hunting is one of the biggest challenges we have facing migratory birds. And this year specifically, Champions of the Flyway will focus on one of these amazing migrants, the turtle dove, and maybe Jonathan can elaborate on this. But this is a larger bird that also theoretically can live for 4 or 5 years, but few reach the age of adulthood, and we see populations plummeting down. Larger birds such as egrets, herons, storks can live over 10 years old. Some of the storks have reached the age of 20, 25. Vultures in captivity can reach the age of 50. Usually in nature, they reach the age of 10 to 15, 20 years, not much more than that. So the larger you are, the longer you live.
Excellent. Jonathan, quite to throw to you. You want to say a few words? You got your rollers back, I think. And also say a few words about your efforts with Champions of the Flyway, and also how people can visit Israel and see birds here with us. You're out. Yeah, there you go. Jonathan.
Okay, so yeah, I've got this beautiful rollers back. A beautiful subtle blue color with a orangey back. Again, a bit challenging to focus with the fading light. But like Amir said, this year we're focusing on a special bird called the turtle dove, a bird that is mentioned in the scriptures as the messenger of spring, and the cooing of the dove was heard through the land. And a bird that was once so commonly, and this bird is steadily being wiped out, especially by hunting, both legal and illegal killing. And this year, SPNI, together with BirdLife International, is focusing on the turtle dove as a bird species to conserve. We are joining forces with colleagues from other countries around the Mediterranean, Cyprus, Malta, Greece, Turkey, and all together we're doing various activities in order to highlight the importance of protecting turtle doves. And Noam mentioned before the Champions of the Flyway, a bird race for conservation. We just had our fall edition this past Thursday, a couple of days ago, and it was fantastic. We had 23 teams, birders from all over Israel, from age 7 to 77, participating, running throughout the country, trying to see as many species as possible, and raising awareness and funds to protect the turtle dove so it doesn't disappear under our watch. And just look how beautiful this roller is. I don't know how well you can see it, but it's truly one of the more spectacular migrants that pass through Israel.
I want to see one. I haven't seen one yet in real life.
Well, I'm about 15 minutes from your house, so
I know. Just send me a pin. I'll be there. Unfortunately, it's bedtime for me. My kids even. We're going to go to Noam for the last two birds. Who's got two in his scope?
Actually,
and then three birds in his scope. Wow, and none of them are ducks. But anyway, go on.
Yes. So the large one on the right is the gray heron. In the middle is the spur-winged lapwing, and on the left is the green shank. Green shank comes from the Arctics and the forests of Northern Europe. The spur-winged lapwing is an African bird which is resident in Israel too. Now it's hiding behind, he's a bit shy. Here he is. It's beautiful. He's here. Used to be only in wetlands, but now also in urban areas. It's really spreading. And the gray heron. This is a young one, first time on migration, but looks pretty good. Comes from somewhere in Europe. Has a wide distribution range. It's sitting here since morning. I've seen it this morning, eating some fish, and also everything is migration-wise at the moment. And yeah, we are losing light. Oh, yeah, some alarm, some predators coming. Everybody's stressed. You see what's happening, and it's probably the booted eagle that has been here all evening, but I couldn't show you. And the small birds just all fled. There are no birds around. They're all hiding, but the heron doesn't mind. It's too big for the eagle. So here it's just above the heron right now.
Okay, thank you very much, Noam. So I'll just say, if you want more information about Israel's birds, please visit our website just for birds, which is aptly named www.birds.org.il. Going back to Jonathan with his roller, so just stay there, Jonathan. And if you want to, and Jonathan Meirav manages amazing tourism opportunities here for people who want to visit Israel's birds. Who want to come and visit, organize tours, one-off private. Jonathan, do you want to say a few words about that? And I'll put the bird website in the chat. And then I think that'll be it for tonight. Jonathan, do you want to just say when the next the next festival is?
Yes, indeed. We were hoping to lead some tours this fall, but COVID, well, not really COVID, but our decision makers think otherwise. So sadly, we cannot really accept tourists on tours just yet, but we're really gearing up towards spring of 2022. Spring is prime time for migration in Israel. And we'd like to invite you to the Eilat Birds Festival. The Eilat Birds Festival will begin in March 27th, 2022. It's a full week program, amazing birding, amazing tours, led by Israel's best. We're going to be hosted in Noam Weiss's backyard in Eilat. And it's truly an amazing trip. I'm sure there's people here that have participated in the past. And we're excited to come back in late March 2022. All the information is going to be on the website. And we're looking forward for you guys to not fight the instinct and migrate south to Eilat in the spring.
Excellent. Thank you, Jonathan. So I will just say thank you very much, everyone who joined us. I know we've gone a little bit over our hour. We will be having more webinars over the coming months. Have no fear. Amir has promised to do one about how Jerusalem Hills are recovered from the wildfires, which we'll get to once a bit later in the spring. I hope to have Professor Yossi Leshem, the one and only, back after he's currently in Dubai at the World Expo, and he'll be hopefully be able to tell us a bit about his experiences there. Iris Han, our CEO, is going to be going to the COP in Glasgow, and hopefully be able to share also some of her experiences. And I hope we'll have a range of special guests. And we'll be back birding, I believe, on the 7th of November. So put a date into your diary. We'll send out links and information nearer the time. But until then, thank you very much, European Roller. Thank you very much, Noam, Nadav, Amir, Jonathan, Alen, all our amazing volunteers around the world. Thank you so much for all your work that you put into it. Thank you, Jay, and Mazal Tov on your new grandchild. And thank you, everyone who supports us. You're the ones who make this happen. We really cannot do this without you. Thank you, everyone who's donated so far during this webinar, and thank you, everyone who's donated throughout the year, and thank you, everyone who will in advance who will donate before the end of the tax year in America. Again, our website is www.natureisrael.org. There's Jonathan. Bye, Jonathan. And also for birds specifically, www.birds.org.il. I look forward to seeing you all again in a few weeks. I'll even turn my camera to wave goodbye to you all. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Lawrence.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Have a good evening.
Didn't get the last website, birds.org.il. That's the one you need. Bye-bye.